Welcome back to another episode of the Challenges of Change. Today, we're going to talk about masks, not COVID masks, but the masks we wear to hide ourselves and why. But I also think the most important part of this conversation is going to boil down to cost. So I'll use myself as an example because I never want to air anyone else's dirty laundry out in here. When I was still living in Chicago, I didn't realize I was wearing a mask. I didn't realize I was being someone different than who I was. I understood that I would mask my stress or uncomfortable feelings. And even as I say it, I know my brain is about to tell you because it would make other people uncomfortable, which is part of my mask, but it's also very disconnecting. And I understand we're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of what other people might think. We're afraid that we might not belong to our friends or that people won't view us the same way or love us the same way, whatever it might be. All these fears about how we're going to be perceived. So we just mask up and we go through it all alone. I've had my own struggles with my masks. I've been open on here about my challenges with suicide years ago, which is when I didn't realize I was wearing a mask. And then I kind of woke up when COVID happened, moved across country, all those things, and realized who I really was. And I got a different awareness around when I am wearing my mask and when I'm not. And when I've been open about my suicide and talked to people I love, some of the responses I've gotten is, I had no idea. And I feel like I should have known. And there are certain people who are really, really close to me who I'm very transparent with, but for people who've never struggled with suicide, I can tell you it's very vulnerable to share that state with anyone. I don't completely understand why. For me, it felt like a version of weakness, a version of letting others down, but really was a version of not having any identity. And recently, over the holiday break, when I was home, I was talking to some of the people that I love. And what came up was, you're only going to see what I want you to see, is what I said out loud. Because they were saying it scared them that they didn't know back then. And like they were asking how they will know in the future if I ever do get to that lower point. And my response was, you're only going to see what I want you to see. But where the hell did I get that idea? And it's not just me. I have friends who I've been blessed that they're open and vulnerable and have shared some of their harder moments and didn't go through it alone. And literally, what they've said to me is how impactful it's been just to have that person to lean on as a friend or as a coach or even as a trainer. I've been there for those people because I feel like we're growing so disconnected from our true purpose of humanity, which is to connect. And what our masks do is they cost us connection because of fear. We're afraid of what people are going to think of us. We're afraid of judgments and perceptions, likely because we also don't really have a strong sense of our own identity. I mean, that's definitely where I was, and I know that's what I experienced with a lot of my clients. So we suffer alone because we're afraid. I get it. I've been there. I've done that. I've also been on the other side where it's much nicer to not feel like you're alone. And you can feel way more connected and stronger and like you belong and like you're part of something bigger when you allow people to be there. So this really is about, why have our masks and when is it time to put the mask down? I think it's a personal decision. I really do. But I will say that if you don't feel like you have a strong sense of identity, you don't really know what your morals are or your driving compass, if the shoulds are running you or supposed tos, probably means the first place you need to start is by getting to know who you really are rather than identifying yourself by your mask. That's a huge challenge to begin with. So if you don't know who you really are, if you do identify yourself as the supposed tos and the shoulds, you're in that mask phase. But let's say you have the awareness that you wear a mask, you put a mask on, and it probably feels like you're trying to protect yourself from what? Judgments to a degree, sure. But what are you really afraid is going to happen? Okay, they judge you, then what? They forget about it. People judge people all the time. I don't like it. I actually loathe it, but teach their own. People place judgments all the time. You're never going to know them. And even if you do, it passes within a week unless you choose to hold on to it. So is that really why we're putting our mask on? I don't think so. I think it goes much deeper to that sense of belonging because a lot of people put masks on to feel like they fit in, be that with their family, with a group of friends, at work. They want to conform to be part of the greater being, whatever that mask is doing. And I mean, I did this for decades. But again, there's a cost. The cost of inauthenticity, lack of fulfillment, lack of purpose, feeling lost, feeling stuck. So when do we put the mask down? This is something I'm struggling with myself. So I'm right there with you. And if you have any ideas or tips or like things that have worked for you, please comment, let me know because we're all in this together. But one of the things I told myself in 2024 is I don't want that to be my answer. You're only going to see what I want you to see. I want to let people see me. I want to let people see my struggle. I want to let people see me get back up from my struggles. And I want to let people see me live in all that it has to give you. But I think what makes it so hard is how people respond. That's really what I keep coming back to when I think about my own journey and like wanting to take these masks off. I am so blessed to have so many loved people in my life, not only that I love, but that have shown me an abundance of love throughout my life. And yet I don't feel safe to open up and tell them about some of my struggles, not necessarily because of their judgments, but because of how they respond. Some will make it about them. Some are so uncomfortable with me sharing my truth that they just want to run and hide. And listen, I get it. It's uncomfortable to hear this stuff. But would you rather not know? Would you rather let the people you love suffer in silence because they're afraid of how you might respond? Or is that even worth fighting for you? If you're the person who's struggling, who wants to let people in, can you be prepared for them to have a bad response and still do it anyway so you don't muffle your voice? Because we can't control people outside of us, but we have to make sure we're showing up for ourselves. Life is about challenges, thus the podcast, the challenges of change. But how you face those challenges, whether you do it alone, whether you mask up, whether you avoid it or ignore it or distract yourself from it, that is actually what your power is. Let's make this year different. Let's stop hiding from our loved ones, the people who have shown us they're in our corner, the people who have shown us that they have our back, and actually give them an opportunity to have our back. Let's show up for ourselves. Okay, it's going to be scary. Okay, you're going to get judged. Okay, someone's going to say something that hurts your feelings. Have your back anyways. Speak up anyways. Those people are going to do those things regardless of you having your voice, so may as well not lose your voice. Sometimes what we forget when we put our mask on and we try to protect is what we're really doing is shoving our integrity or our authenticity way down because it's safer to muffle ourselves than to share our piece or ask for help. But I'll close with this. This is something I struggle with as well. And I really hope that we can grow to a new phase in 2024 where we allow our loved ones to be there by being open enough to share with them. And over the holiday, I had a moment where I chose to share. I chose to be more vulnerable. I chose my voice. It was uncomfortable, let me tell you. But what came from it is something I hadn't felt in a really long time. It gave certain people in my life an opportunity to step up or not. And some people did, and some people didn't. And the ones who didn't, of course, it hurt. But that wasn't what my heart focused on. What I realized coming home from the holiday was there were some hard moments, sure. But because I was brave enough, because it really does take courage and bravery to share my truth, some of the people that I love were able to show up for me and make me feel loved in a way that I don't recall feeling from them in a long time. And although I know these people love me, there's a difference between what we know and what we feel. And I feel like my love tank just got like 1,000,000 pounds of love stored in it. Like I feel so abundant in love from just a moment of allowing people to show up for me. And yeah, some people didn't, but it didn't deplete any amount of that love that I was able to gain. So as we embark on a new year, new goals are going to be coming up, all that jazz. Maybe you make this the year of you, the year where you put your mask down, you allow people to be in your corner, you show up for yourself first and foremost, and you recognize the cost you bear by wearing your mask. This stuff can be hard. Life can be hard, but we never, ever have to do it alone. So whether it's you or someone you know or someone you love, we never know what's going on underneath the surface. So remember to be kind, be compassionate, but reach out to people and let people know you're there. And if you're the one struggling, reach out to people. Let people know you need that support too. No more masks in 24. Until next time. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Challenges of Change. If you're ready to stop stressing and reclaim your sense of worth, be sure to visit my website at www.changebychallenge.com. There, you'll find loads of resources, blog posts, and information on how to work with me, Tora, as your personal mindset coach. Remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Don't let burnout or any other obstacle hold you back from living your best life. Take the first steps towards positive transformation today. Thank you again for listening. Stay confident, stay inspired, and embrace the challenges of change. Until next time.